Hi and welcome to Mimi's Art. Today I'm going to show you this painting of a bamboo forest, and as you can see I've already done my homework beforehand. If you're interested in watching me prep these kinds of paintings, let me know in the comments, but for this one I just went ahead and did it off camera. So I've done the background and I've created some black borders. A lot of what I'm going to be doing in the next little while is with this flat brush, and I'm going to start to basically map out the shadows, like the darker parts of the painting. There's a lot of stuff in this painting that is kind of blurry and in the background, and the highlights and the details are really only on a few pieces in here. So hopefully you will learn a little bit through this by understanding that not everything has to be completely and totally detailed. I also would like to talk to you about my spiritual journey, about how I became a Christian, how I grew up, and how God has become such a great and amazing part of my life. So with that, I'm just going to start with the fact that I was born in a Christian family. My parents are Christians. Now, I was born in the Netherlands, and the Netherlands is well known for the Dutch Reformed Church. There's also the Roman Catholic Church. I did not grow up in those circles. I grew up in what is called the Evangelical Church, and you can basically compare that with, I guess, the Evangelical Church in North America, but don't just tie me down on that, because I don't really know exactly what all these denominations actually believe and mean and all that. To me, it doesn't matter. I believe in God. That to me is the most important thing. Anyway, I will talk to you a little bit about the type of church I grew up in, but I want to go back to this painting, and as you can see, I am putting in some different colors where the different sticks are going to be, and this is all very rough, you guys. Like, there's very little detailing going on. This is all still done with that same flat brush, and I just wanted to just lay down a base. So this still looks very much like a kid's painting, and that's what paintings look like in the beginning. There's an ugly stage to every painting, and you just kind of have to have your end goal in mind. Plus, I do work off of a reference photo, so that helps. The church that I grew up in was a church where you'd have a worship team on the stage, where there's a drummer, a bass player, guitar player, pianist, a bunch of singers, clapping, dancing, the raising of hands during worship. It's all part of that, and I grew up in that kind of a circle. And I was 8 years old when I decided to give my heart to the Lord. I remember being at a kids' church service in that church, and I decided to heed to the call when they said, "Hey, do you want to give your heart to Jesus?" And I'm like, "Yep, I do." Now, this was not a lightning and thunder type moment. This was more of a like, yes, I believe in Jesus. Yes, I'm going to give my heart to him. It was not like, I was caught up into heaven and forever changed. It was just a very conscious choice. I'm going in with some lighter colors. I'm trying to make these sticks look more three-dimensional. So like they are a little bit round. And you kind of do that by knowing where your light source is coming from. And in this particular photo that I'm using, it's coming from the left. So that's where you will see me putting highlights and darker colors like the shadows on the opposite side. And it creates a bit of an illusion of it being a round stick. Back to my story. When I was 16 years old, I got baptized. And I grew up in a church where baptism is done by completely, submersing yourself into water and coming out. In other words, we dunk you. I was never baptized as a baby, and we were in the church the church circle I grew up in, you are being dedicated to the Lord as a baby. It's a choice of the parents. And that baptism is something you choose in your later walk in life. And I chose to be baptized when I was 16. And shortly thereafter, I actually joined the worship team, and I started singing in the church. And I did a lot of that over my years of, being in church. Worship is very important to me. It's very close to my heart. I'm very passionate about it. To this day, I believe my voice is very important in, my spiritual walk. Changing brushes here, I am starting to work on details on that big diagonal stalk or stick, whatever you want to call it. So what I do is basically I put I'm working with different colors. You'll see me layering colors. I'm starting with the darker color here, and this is the stippling. I mean, it does wonders. It creates this beautiful texture, and honestly, it is so simple to do. So if you're looking for texture on trees or branches or, even on rocks or anything like that, I would suggest using this stippling technique. And for this, I would not water down your paint too much. Keep it pretty thick, and find a brush that's a bit old and a bit splayed. Works the best. So all my Christian life, as a child, I've gone to Sunday school. When I was a teenager, I went to youth group, and those kind of programs, you can call them, have really helped me just shape me into the Christian that I am today. And obviously it's your own personal walk with God, but just to have a place to go to once a week, especially with youth, we did so many fun things besides just learning about God and going into the Bible. We did so many fun things. We would go camping, we would go to places, we would have a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that part of just being together with peers and just having fun. Yeah, that was really good. And we also would go to conferences, and those conferences, they have absolutely shaped my walk with God. In the Netherlands, something called Soul Survivor kind of made its entrance. Soul Survivor started in England or the UK and came over to the Netherlands, and I absolutely am so grateful for that organization. That really kind of helped me go much deeper in my relationship with God, and just to explore more things of Him and understanding my gifts and talents, and but also the greatness, the goodness, and the most how wonderful God is. Okay, back to my painting. I am going in doing teeny weeny details with a teeny weeny brush. I love this part. I live for this part. Couldn't wait to do this. And if you're wondering, how do you get small lines and tiny little details in kind of the way you do, I water a lot of stuff down so that I can actually make those tiny little lines. Now, you can do it with thicker paint, but you're going to have to reload your brush constantly. And I'd rather do multiple layers of it and be accurate than having big freaking blobs on my canvas and it looking kind of blotchy. And, I don't like that. I like it to look clean. So never did I ever not believe in God. No matter what life has thrown my way, my faith in Him has always been there. Sometimes a little less passionate, there are seasons in life where you may not be seeking the kingdom first. You may not be reading your Bible as much. You may not be praying as much. But I never stopped believing in Him and in His goodness and in His salvation and Him being there. Sometimes it's my own behavior and my own attitude that kind of, in my opinion, kind of keeps some things at bay, not being able to kind of manifest through my life. But I've never, ever denied my faith in Him. back into some tiny details here. You can see that it just takes shape so quickly by just adding a few brush strokes. And sometimes less is more, guys. You don't have to be like extremely detailed. I think you need to be detailed enough to give an illusion, because that's kind of what you're creating. It's an illusion, right? It's just like flat canvas, but by adding colors, by adding highlights, by adding shadows, and just putting lights, or by putting color in certain places, you can make it come to life. And I was absolutely living for this part of this painting. So what do I believe? I believe in the Trinity: God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit. I believe in the laying on of hands for healing, for deliverance. I believe in the power of prayer. I believe in the power of worship. There's so much that is still to be unpacked. This is just a very quick synopsis of what I believe in and kind of how I grew up. There's so much more depth to that, but I'm hoping to just kind of unpack that a little bit in other videos as well. For this video, I'm almost at the end here because we had a bit of a crisis going on in our region, so I was not able to paint as much as I wanted. Now here's a picture to show you what the painting is currently looking like. And as you can see, kind of the left part of the painting is done and the right part still has to be done. However, because of, wildfires that were going on in my region and having to sort of prepare a little bit of an evacuation kit just in case, and just being a little kind of on edge because of what was going on all around us, I did not really put in the time that I normally do to paint. So this painting is to be continued, but for now, I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments. I'd like to hear them, and I will definitely see you in the next video. Bye.